صباح الخير. شكرا جزيلا. Your Royal Highness, Sir Ahmad al-Sheikh, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be called a guest of honor in a country that I'm most proud to call home. It's great to be back in Jordan here and to connect with fellow Jordanians, fellow Arabs, and fellow in this journey of bringing a bit more sustainability to a planet that is drifting off a track out of sustainability and our resources to accommodate all of us. I was very excited to learn about this initiative of PepsiCo and this name that you have picked for it, AMWAJ. And I think we need, at this moment of history of this region, a new waves and AMWAJ that could counter the negativity that is spread all over the place. I was very proud to see that many partners are coming together to instill this notion of sustainability. And let me just walk you through some trends over the past 15 years, and I'm not a historian here, but just to see where the word sustainability came from. Some 16 years ago, the United Nations adopted the Millennium Development Goals. You are familiar with the MDGs, I believe. The 15 years plan basically they have at the core of this plan, the Millennium Development Goals, is trying to lift people out of poverty and to try to tackle some other challenges. Now, some people are skeptical and they are always in doubt whether this international system works or not. In fact, when it comes to the MDGs, one can be prouder to report that it worked, because if the goal was to lift half of the people who are in poverty out of poverty, that worked. But I'm always reminded when I reflect on the MDGs, and as I had the honor of the past 3 years to contribute to the formulation of the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN, I would say, very bold vision for the future. I'm always reminded of this nice book to Charles Dickens, who, The Tale of Two Cities, for those of you who read it. It talks about Paris and London, but there's a line in that book talks about this is the best of all times and the worst of all times at the same time. And when you see how things work in this region and see the progress we have been making as a humanity, it's outstanding in every sense to see the progress that humanity has made over the past 15 years or so. But as we are reflecting on some of these challenges and looking to the future and the next 14 years, in fact, now, to achieve the plan 2030, you can go through the figures and numbers and see some good trends and some disturbing ones. Let me start with some of the disturbing ones, so it could end in a more positive note. We Arabs, this region, were just 5% of the global population. Last year, we were 56% of the world's refugees. 5% of the global population made more than half of the world's refugees last year. The global average for unemployment among young people is 13%. In our region, it's 30%. Globally, 1 out of 4 young people is unemployed. In this region, globally 1 out of 8. In this region, 1 out of 4. In this region, 2/3 of young women and girls who are actively looking for jobs and they want to work, they are still unemployed, with no immediate prospects for jobs. In fact, this region has to create 60 million jobs by the year 2020. And I see some people nodding their heads, and rightly so. 60 million jobs by the year 2020. Of course, I was just a few days ago, in fact, I'm spending most of this month in a tour in the Arab region, because tomorrow in Beirut, we will be releasing the Arab Human Development Report, which will be focused entirely in youth to look to the trends of what happened to the region's youth 5 years after the events. And I invite you all to go to the website tomorrow and try to read the report. It's remarkable. In fact, it took us 3 years to develop this report, because every time we come to a place where we feel confident, it's just almost impossible to offer a solid analysis for the situation of Arab youth at this moment. But in that same report, draws also to the challenge young people in this region are facing when it comes to peace and security, education, employment, participation. This region this region continues to have one of the lowest percentage of youth participation in formal political processes and one of the highest percentage of protests in the world. So people don't vote, but they protest. And many of them, in fact, at this point, they are not protesting or not voting. Some of them, they are losing faith. So I said I will start by some of the disturbing trends because I think in the middle of this very challenging reality, we're seeing some emerging trends that could bring a bit of hope to all of us. In fact, on the table, we were talking about the mission of my generation now is to look for the cracks of hopes here and there and try to maximize them. The good news here that this region is rich and continues to be rich for I would say to the foreseen future. It has some of the most well-resourced banks, financial institutions, some of the most well-resourced countries, in fact, in terms of cash, not only in terms of natural resources. And this region continues to hold most of the solutions from within. We just need to unlock some of these solutions to not fail this largest generation of young Arabs. Today, we have the largest generation of youth in the history of this region, a little bit over 100 million. So the good news here when it comes to sustainability, this is a generation that aspire and work hard to try to find solutions to tackle some of these complex challenges. When it comes to creating jobs, for example, there's a community of young Arab entrepreneurs who are still being celebrated, unfortunately, as if they were the exception. As if it's like becoming success is an exception in this region. Throughout this conference, when you hear to some of the stories of young entrepreneurs in this room, you'll know that success is not an exception in this region. And it should not be an exception. The destiny of an Arab is not to be unemployed or a refugee or sinking in the Mediterranean. There are much better and brighter future for young Arabs, only if we give them our opportunity. I'm convinced that all the solutions to the problems we are facing today could never come from abroad, in fact, not even from the UN. I'm speaking on behalf of it. This region has keys to solve most of its problems. Now, when it comes to the sustainability element, as the United Nations start reflecting on the new generation of sustainable development goals after the Millennium Development Goals, probably if you go and read the MDGs, the word sustainability was not there at all, in fact. For 15 years, the word sustainability was not mentioned in the most important development framework. Now, sustainability is the name of the agenda. It's called the Sustainable Development Goals. Are you all familiar with the 17 goals? Raise your hand if you are. Good. What's goal number 4? It's a quiz. It matters, in fact. You should know about the goals. Goal number 5. Any guess? It's the women one. Good. Gender equality. Goal number 13. Well, you have a homework before the end of this conference to try to know the goals by heart. And I think it matters. I'll tell you why it matters. My Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, says, we are the first generation in history that has the means and tools to eradicate extreme poverty. But we might be the last generation that will be able to reverse the climate change. No pressure. But it is true. We are very fortunate, very interconnected, very mobile, and we have unbelievable resources at our disposal that will allow us to realize this vision. Now, some of you will wonder, when you read the 17 goals, which I hope you will do to the fullest today, you will wonder, what's the thing about this United Nations? They are calling for eradicating extreme poverty in 14 years by 2030, reversing climate change, ensure gender equality, finding jobs for everyone. This is too ambitious, and this is not attainable in 14 years' time. I challenge that because I believe it is doable. But we cannot get it only by talking about it. We can achieve this vision by really aligning our actions with it. I have a great faith in this generation of young people. In fact, if you go and you check the most Googled, or I'm not sure if Googled is the right term there, because the most looked at companies today in LinkedIn are the ones that are branded as socially conscious and environmentally conscious as well. This is a generation of young people who cares about where they work. They want to work for a good story, not only a good cash and career type of thing. They want to align themselves with a company that does well for its society. This is a generation of young people, in fact, they don't even want to work for companies. We keep complaining about young people. In fact, one of the biggest challenges in the future for companies is to attract the young talents, because most of them, they want to start their own businesses. And they can't do that, in fact. Now, if I bring it back to the Arab region, I'll not speak for too long. I'm sure there are brilliant speakers coming after me. But I'm always saying that for this region to unlock the power of its youth, it has to do a few simple things. 60 million jobs cannot be created by the year 2020 by governments, right? I think even this public-private partnership will not generate this number of jobs. So what we are telling young people, we're telling them, stop writing CVs and start writing your business plans. Stop looking for jobs and start inventing jobs. And what I hope really we can talk more about it during this forum is how to support the journey of a young entrepreneur who is trying to start a new business. And the challenges there are enormous. Whenever I meet young people in the region, I ask them what are the challenges for starting a new business. They often will tell you where to start, right? To register a company is difficult. The legal system taxes you from day one. Coaching is almost not there. Access to credit or financial support is a mission impossible. And in fact, I feel for this region not to fail its youth, it has to make their job to start new businesses and new jobs a little bit easier. Currently, it's almost a mission impossible. They don't really have to be Tom Cruise type of thing, for you to just start a new business in this region. And when it comes to sustainability, I conclude with that. Sustainability is just the way forward. It's the way forward because we just cannot continue to consume the current banners. We are living way beyond the planetary boundaries, I would say, for this planet. If we continue to consume in the same way, we need the 3 planets to accommodate all of us. And as a wise man once said, there might be plan P for everything, but there's no planet B. So we have to figure out everything with this planet that we got. So to conclude with that, I would say it's a moment that is very challenging for all of us in this region, but it's a moment of hope and a renewed hope. And that's the message, as tomorrow we'll be releasing the Arab Human Development Report. We're hoping that this will serve as a wake-up call for everyone, and a wake-up call for companies, for governments, for individuals, and for young entrepreneurs. That is not enough today to start by talking about being an entrepreneur. I think connecting entrepreneurship together with sustainability is the way forward, because just that creates more jobs for everyone, and that's the way for you to move from a linear economy to a circular economy that hopefully will circulate the wealth, circulate the opportunities, and hopefully this region's youth will be able to rebound the region from its current free fall. Because as a young person from this region myself, I just don't want to, I'm 32 years old, by the way, and when I'm 60 or 70, the last thing I want to do is to be here in a dark suit and just pass on regrets to the younger generation, telling them, we're sorry, we failed you. And you hear it all the time, right? We failed you, maybe you'll do a better job than us. I think we are the ones who should and is able to do a better job. I just want to make sure that we are part of this generation. So my call to all of you to zoom out a little bit from a lot of the frustration we're struggling with, and not only to read the headlines, which we have plenty of them in this region, but to read the trend lines. And I think the trend lines are in favor of young people, and in favor of supporting them. And once again, I congratulate all the organizers for seeing the value of investing in young people. At the end, no company in the world would like to see a poor society. They always want to have a functioning society, and I think that's for the benefit of everyone. Once again, thank you. Thanks to PepsiCo, and thanks to Your Royal Highness for taking the time to engage with young people, and to all the partners. I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you.